Welcome back to our channel. Today we unravel the remarkable yet heartbreaking tale of Brooke Astor, a woman who epitomized high society and philanthropy, but whose life was marred by tragedy and betrayal. Known for her immense wealth, glittering social status, and charitable endeavors, Brooke seemed to live a dream life. Yet beneath the surface lay a story of resilience and heartbreak, an existence marked by tumultuous relationships, family betrayal, and a haunting descent into isolation. From her glamorous beginnings to her tragic final days, Brooke Astor's life is a cautionary tale of how even the brightest lights can cast the darkest shadows. Stay with us as we uncover the highs and lows of this extraordinary life. Roberta Brooke Russell, better known to the world as Brooke Astor, was born on March 30th, 1902 in Portsmouth, New Hampshire, into a family deeply rooted in military service. Her father, John Henry Russell Jr., served as the 16th Commandant of the Marine Corps, while her grandfather, John Henry Russell Sr., was a distinguished Rear Admiral in the U.S. Navy. It was a lineage of honor, discipline, and duty, but one that brought with it a transient lifestyle that left young Brooke longing for a sense of permanence. Named after her maternal grandmother, Roberta, Brooke was affectionately called Bobby by her family and close friends, a nickname that added an air of familiarity and warmth to her otherwise privileged and structured upbringing. Brooke's early years were anything but ordinary. Due to her father's demanding military career, her family moved frequently, taking her across continents to places like China, the Dominican Republic, and Haiti. While most children her age were rooted in one place, Brooke's passport was her constant companion. These experiences exposed her to a rich tapestry of cultures and landscapes, shaping her into a worldly and observant child. She would later credit this globe-trotting upbringing with giving her an appreciation for diversity, but it also planted within her a deep yearning for stability, something she would seek throughout her relationships and later marriages. Despite the chaos of frequent relocations, Brooke's parents ensured that her education remained a priority. She briefly attended the Madeira School in 1919 before ultimately graduating from the Holton Arms School. It was during these formative years that Brooke's natural creativity began to shine. She developed a passion for storytelling, sketching, and journaling, chronicling her travels and observations in vivid detail. Her notebooks were filled with letters and sketches that captured not only the places she visited, but also the emotions they evoked in her. These early expressions of creativity provided Brooke with an outlet to process the instability of her upbringing. They also offered a glimpse into her vibrant imagination and the sharp eye for detail that would later serve her well in her roles as a writer, philanthropist, and tastemaker. Her ability to find beauty in the ephemeral and turn fleeting moments into lasting memories became a defining feature of her personality. Decades later, Brooke's childhood reflections would culminate in her memoir, Patchwork Child: Early Memories. Published in 1993, the book was an illustrated collection of her diaries and sketches, offering readers an intimate look at her life before fame and fortune. Through its pages, Brooke shared not only the physical landscapes of her youth, but also the emotional journey of a young girl navigating a life of constant change. The memoir captured her humor, resilience, and keen observations, making it a testament to her ability to weave together the disparate pieces of her life into a cohesive and inspiring narrative. At just 17 years old, Brooke Astor married her first husband, John Dryden Cuser, on April 26, 1919, in Washington, D.C. Reflecting on this life-altering decision later in life, Brooke offered a piece of candid advice. "I certainly wouldn't advise getting married that young to anyone. At the age of 16, you're not gelled yet. the first thing you look at, you fall in love with. John Cuser, the son of financier and conservationist Anthony Rudolph Cuser and Susie Fairfield Dryden, hailed from a prestigious family. His maternal grandfather was U.S. Senator John Fairfield Dryden, adding to the family's social prominence. A New Jersey Republican councilman, assemblyman, and later state senator, John seemed like a promising match for a young Brooke. The couple settled in Bernardsville, New Jersey, where they attempted to build their life together. However, beneath the surface, the marriage was far from a fairy tale. Brooke later described those years as the worst years of her life, marred by her husband's alleged physical abuse, infidelity, and alcoholism. According to Frances Kiernan's 2007 biography of Brooke, John's violent temper came to a devastating peak when, during a marital fight, he broke Brooke's jaw while she was 6 months pregnant with their only child. John's behavior extended beyond the private sphere. Just a year into their marriage, Brooke began facing public humiliation. According to divorce proceedings, John embarrassed her in social activities and openly declared that he no longer loved her, branding their marriage a failure. Despite the societal expectations of the time, Brooke endured these hardships for nearly a decade. On May 30th, 1924, Brooke gave birth to their son, Anthony Dryden Tony Cuser. While Tony provided Brooke with a glimmer of hope amidst her struggles, his arrival did little to salvage the crumbling marriage. On February 15, 1930, Brooke filed for divorce in Reno, Nevada, officially breaking free later that year. The experience, though harrowing, marked the beginning of Brooke's journey toward, in 1932, Brooke Astor married her second husband, Charles Henry Buddy Marshall, a man of both prestige and financial acumen. Buddy, the senior partner at the investment firm Butler, Herrick and Marshall, hailed from an esteemed lineage. He was a descendant of James Lennox, the founder of the Lennox Library, and a brother-in-law to Marshall Field III, heir to the Field mercantile fortune. For Brooke, this union offered not just love but the stability and security she had long sought. Reflecting on their relationship later in life, Brooke described the marriage as a great love match. Through her marriage to Charles Henry Buddy Marshall, Brooke Astor not only found love and stability, but also became part of a family deeply connected to the arts. Buddy brought 2 stepchildren into Brooke's life, Peter Marshall and Helen Huntington Marshall, both of whom had ties to the world of culture and creativity. Helen Huntington Marshall, in particular, stood out with her fascinating personal life and contributions to the arts. Her first marriage was to the talented composer Ernest Schelling, who served as the first conductor of the Young People's Concerts with the New York Philharmonic. Schelling's work, which blended classical music with an educational mission, mirrored the cultural values that Brooke herself admired and supported throughout her life. After her marriage to Schelling ended, Helen wed the renowned Hungarian-American cellist János Schultz. Schultz, celebrated for his emotive performances and dedication to chamber music, further strengthened the Marshall family's ties to the artistic world. His career spanned decades, and his passion for music resonated with Brooke, who shared an appreciation for artistic endeavors. Helen's connections to 2 prominent figures in the music world reflected the Marshall family's cultural influence, but they also complemented Brooke's emerging identity as a philanthropist. Brooke's passion for the arts found an unexpected alignment with Helen's life, creating opportunities for the family to collaborate and support New York's cultural scene. For example, Helen and Brooke often attended art exhibits, concerts, and galas together, with their shared interests fostering a close bond. Helen's relationships with accomplished musicians likely influenced Brooke's later support for artistic institutions like the Metropolitan Museum of Art and the New York Philharmonic. While Brooke's philanthropy was extensive, this personal connection to music and the arts may have inspired some of her most impactful contributions. Brooke's son from her first marriage, Tony, grew especially close to Buddy, so much so that in 1942, at the age of 18, he legally changed his name to Anthony Dryden Marshall as a tribute to his stepfather. Buddy became a stabilizing figure in Brooke's life and offered Tony a paternal influence that had been absent during his early years. However, the mid-1940s brought challenges to Buddy's financial fortunes, forcing Brooke to step into the professional world. She worked as a features editor at House and Garden magazine for 8 years, showcasing her flair for aesthetics and storytelling. She also briefly collaborated with Ruby Ross Wood, a prominent interior decorator, helping to transform the Marshalls' elegant apartment at 1 Gracie Square in New York City, alongside the legendary designer Billy Baldwin. These roles not only highlighted Brooke's adaptability but also cemented her reputation as a woman of taste and resilience. In October 1953, just 11 months after the death of her second husband, Charles Marshall, Brooke Astor married her third and final husband, William Vincent Astor. As the chairman of the board of Newsweek magazine and the last wealthy American heir of the Astor dynasty, Vincent brought Brooke unparalleled prestige and financial security. However, his storied lineage came with its share of complications. Vincent was the son of John Jacob Jack Astor IV, a victim of the RMS Titanic, and socialite Ava Lowell Willing. Twice divorced, childless, and burdened by a difficult personality, Vincent presented both opportunities and challenges for Brooke. Reflecting on their marriage, Brooke shared, "He had a dreadful childhood and, as a result, had moments of deep melancholy. But I think I made him happy. That's what I set out to do." Determined to lighten his spirits, Brooke went to great lengths to bring joy into his life. She danced with their dogs, sang, played the piano, and did whatever it took to make him laugh, something Vincent had rarely experienced before. Brooke also tried to help Vincent overcome his distrust of people, which stemmed from his immense wealth and the suspicion it fostered. The circumstances of their marriage were anything but ordinary. Afraid of dying alone, Vincent agreed to divorce his second wife, Mary Benedict Minnie Cushing, only after she had found him a replacement spouse. Minnie first proposed Janet Newbold Rhinelander Stewart, who famously declined by saying, "I don't even like you." Minnie's next suggestion was the recently widowed Brooke, who accepted. Although the match raised eyebrows, many saw it as a pragmatic union rather than a romantic one. Brooke's friend Louis Auchincloss remarked, "She married Vincent for the money. I wouldn't respect her if she hadn't. Only a twisted person would have married him for love." Despite the whispers of cynicism, Brooke fully embraced her role as Vincent's wife. During their brief marriage, Brooke became deeply involved in Vincent's real estate ventures, including his iconic Hotel St. Regis, which she redecorated between 1954 and 1958. She also participated in his philanthropic efforts, which later became the foundation for her own legacy. However, life with Vincent wasn't without its struggles. Privately, Brooke admitted to her daughter-in-law, Elizabeth Cynthia, Liz Cryan, "I don't think I can stand being married to him anymore. I don't think I can take it. He never wants to go anywhere. He's so antisocial." When Vincent passed away in 1959, he left his entire fortune to Brooke, sparking resentment within the Astor family. His younger half-brother, John Jacob Jakey Astor VI, was disinherited entirely. Vincent's deep hatred for Jakey's mother, Madeline, whom he believed had tarnished the family's name, fueled his decision. Jakey, feeling cheated, accused Brooke of influencing Vincent's will, even alleging that she brought him liquor while he was hospitalized to sway his decisions. Brooke vehemently denied these claims and Jakey ultimately settled for $250,000. The rest of Vincent's estate, including the substantial Vincent Astor Foundation, remained under Brooke's control. This inheritance laid the groundwork for her transformation into one of New York's most celebrated philanthropists. Though Brooke received several marriage proposals after Vincent's death, she chose not to remarry. In a 1980 interview, she explained with characteristic candor, "I'd have to marry a man of a suitable age and somebody who was a somebody, and that's not easy. Frankly, I think I'm unmarriageable now. I'm too used to having things my way, but I still enjoy a flirt now and then." This chapter of Brooke's life, marked by both immense privilege and personal sacrifice, reflected her resilience and adaptability. Despite the challenges of her marriage to Vincent, she emerged as a stronger, more independent figure, ready to leave her mark on the world of philanthropy. Brooke Astor's legacy as one of New York's most celebrated philanthropists began with her stewardship of the Vincent Astor Foundation, which she assumed control of following her husband Vincent's death in 1959. Though she had been appointed to the board during their marriage, Brooke transformed the foundation into a powerhouse of charitable giving, channeling its resources into causes that enriched New York City's cultural, social, and civic life. One of Brooke's most notable contributions was her work with the Metropolitan Museum of Art, where she served as a trustee and chaired the visiting committee of the Department of Far Eastern Art. She was instrumental in the creation of the museum's renowned Astor Court, a Chinese garden courtyard inspired by traditional Ming Dynasty designs. Brooke's passion for the arts extended beyond her financial contributions. She played a vital role in the museum's 100th anniversary committee and hosted its centennial ball, solidifying her place as a cultural icon in New York's high society. Brooke's generosity extended far beyond the Met. She was a benefactress to the New York Zoological Society, where an Asian elephant named Astor was christened in her honor, and she provided unwavering support to the New York Public Library, one of her favorite causes. The library's programs and services flourished under her patronage, reflecting her belief that education and access to knowledge were cornerstones of a thriving society. Even after liquidating the Vincent Astor Foundation in 1997, Brooke remained deeply engaged in philanthropy. Her motto, "Money is like manure, it's not worth a thing unless it's spread around," encapsulated her approach to wealth and generosity. She continued to support causes close to her heart, including the Animal Medical Center, Lighthouse for the Blind, the Fresh Air Fund, and the International Rescue Committee. Brooke's remarkable dedication to charity earned her numerous accolades throughout her lifetime. In 1988, she was awarded the National Medal of Arts, followed by her election as a Fellow of the American Academy of Arts and Sciences in 1992. In 1998, her tireless contributions to society were recognized with the Presidential Medal of Freedom, one of the nation's highest civilian honors. Beyond her impressive achievements, Brooke's philanthropy was deeply personal. She supported organizations like the Maternity Center Association, the Astor Home for Emotionally Disturbed Children, and the Women's Auxiliary Board of the Society of New York Hospital, reflecting her desire to uplift the vulnerable and create a better world. In July 2006, the devastating story of Brooke Astor's alleged elder abuse became headline news, exposing a bitter family feud that shocked the world. The New York Daily News ran a cover story detailing a lawsuit filed by Brooke's grandson, Philip Cryan Marshall, against his father, Anthony Marshall. Philip, a historic preservationist and professor at Roger Williams University, sought to remove his father as Brooke's legal guardian and appoint Annette de la Renta, wife of designer Oscar de la Renta, as her new guardian. Philip's accusations were damning. The lawsuit alleged that Anthony had failed to provide proper care for Brooke, who was then in the late stages of Alzheimer's disease and suffering from anemia and other ailments. It claimed that Anthony allowed his mother to live in squalor, cut her off from necessary medical care, and reduced her medications, all while enriching himself through her estate. One of the most shocking revelations was that Anthony had allegedly sold Brooke's cherished Childe Hassam painting without her knowledge, and the whereabouts of the proceeds remained unaccounted for. Support for Philip's lawsuit came from high-profile figures, including Henry Kissinger and David Rockefeller, who provided affidavits urging the court to intervene. On the day the story broke, New York Supreme Court Justice John Stackhouse sealed the case documents but issued an order granting Annette de la Renta guardianship of Brooke, with J.P. Morgan Chase taking control of her finances. Brooke was moved to Lenox Hill Hospital, where her physical condition horrified the medical staff. According to the New York Daily News, a nurse described her appearance as deplorable. The lawsuit revealed harrowing accounts of neglect, including her living conditions and Tony's refusal to provide adequate care. While Anthony unsuccessfully attempted to transfer his mother to another hospital, the court order remained in effect. Just days after the ruling, Brooke was discharged from Lenox Hill Hospital on July 29, 2006, and relocated to Holly Hill, her 75-acre estate in Briarcliff Manor, New York. It was there, surrounded by caregivers and the beauty of her beloved home, that Brooke Astor spent her final days. She passed away peacefully on August 13, 2007, at the age of 105. The full extent of Brooke's suffering became public with the release of Meryl Gordon's 2008 book, Mrs. Astor Regrets: The Hidden Betrayals of a Family Beyond Reproach. Drawing from the diaries of Brooke's nurses, the book painted a grim picture of the elder abuse she endured during her final years. These detailed accounts chronicled years of neglect and manipulation, bringing further clarity to the betrayal Brooke experienced at the hands of her own son. Philip Marshall's efforts to protect his grandmother didn't stop with her passing. Inspired by the ordeal, he left his academic position in 2017 to dedicate himself to elder justice, founding the organization Beyond Brooke to advocate for vulnerable seniors and raise awareness about elder abuse. In August 2006, the New York Times revealed troubling accusations against Brooke Astor's son, Anthony Marshall, who was charged with mismanaging his mother's estate. Alice Perdue, an employee in Brooke's business office, accused Anthony of diverting nearly $1 million from his elderly mother's personal accounts to fund theatrical productions. While Anthony insisted that Brooke had approved the investments, Perdue countered that he had instructed staff never to share financial documents with her, claiming she didn't understand it. These allegations, combined with claims from Brooke's grandson Philip Marshall, led to a deeper investigation into Anthony's handling of his mother's finances. The New York District Attorney indicted both Anthony Marshall and attorney Francis X. Morrissey Jr. in November 2007. The charges stemmed from the mishandling of Brooke's estate, including a questionable amendment to her will in 2004. This amendment authorized the sale of her real estate assets and designated Anthony as the sole beneficiary of the residuary estate, raising serious concerns about forgery and financial exploitation. The trial of Anthony Marshall and Morrissey began in March 2009, capturing widespread public attention. The courtroom drama escalated during deliberations, which stretched over 12 contentious days. Reports described intense disagreements among jurors, with one female juror even claiming to feel threatened by another. In October 2009, the jury reached a verdict. Anthony Marshall, then 85 years old, was convicted on 14 of 16 counts, including grand larceny, for awarding himself a retroactive $1 million payment for managing Brooke's finances. However, the jury acquitted him on one charge of first-degree larceny related to the $10 million sale of Brooke's Chilled Hassam painting, for which Anthony had taken a $2 million commission. Morrissey, meanwhile, was found guilty of forgery, conspiracy, and fraud. In December 2009, both Marshall and Morrissey were sentenced to 1 to 3 years in prison. Philip Marshall, Brooke's grandson, remarked that his father's conviction might prompt various charities to contest Brooke's will, further prolonging the legal battles surrounding her estate. Anthony Marshall's legacy as Brooke's son was permanently tarnished by his greed and betrayal, a tragic counterpoint to his mother's lifetime of generosity. Anthony Marshall passed away in 2014, leaving behind a bitter legacy that overshadowed the Astor family's storied history. In a final chapter of Brooke Astor's estate, Sotheby's announced plans for an auction on April 19, 2012, featuring jewelry and fine decorative arts from her iconic Park Avenue apartment and her estate at Holly Hill in Westchester. The auction marked the end of an era where Brooke's personal treasures became a poignant reminder of her life's triumphs and tragedies. The final chapter of Brooke Astor's life was a battle between tragedy and justice. By the early 2000s, Brooke's once sharp mind was clouded by Alzheimer's disease, leaving her even more vulnerable to Tony's schemes. His control over her life and finances had grown unchecked until a surprising hero stepped forward. Philip Marshall, Brooke's grandson from Tony's first marriage, could no longer ignore the mounting evidence of his father's abuse. In 2006, Philip initiated a lawsuit to strip Tony of guardianship, a move that finally brought Brooke's plight into public view. The courtroom drama captured national attention, exposing not only Tony's financial misconduct, but also the shocking level of neglect Brooke had endured. The legal battle ended with Brooke's guardianship being transferred to her close friend, Annette de la Renta. This decision marked a turning point in Brooke's final days. With de la Renta's support, Brooke was moved to Holly Hill, one of her beloved estates, where she could spend her remaining time in comfort and dignity. Her former butler, Chris Ely, was rehired, providing Brooke with a sense of familiarity and care that had been absent for so long. Brooke Astor passed away peacefully on August 13, 2007, at the remarkable age of 105. Her departure marked the end of an extraordinary life that embodied elegance, philanthropy, and high society, but also heartbreak and betrayal. While her physical presence faded, the legacy she left behind, both inspiring and cautionary, continued to make waves long after her death. Brooke's final years were shrouded in a bitter family drama that shocked not only her close circle, but also the world at large. Her son, Tony Marshall, whose resentment had festered for decades, became the focal point of this tragic tale. Convicted on charges of grand larceny and elder abuse, Tony's betrayal of his mother became a chilling reminder of how even the strongest family bonds can be fractured by greed and neglect. Public outrage over Tony's actions was palpable, with media coverage painting him as the archetype of selfishness, a man who had failed to honor the woman who had given him everything. Even though Tony's declining health earned him an early release from prison, the damage he inflicted was irreparable, not only on Brooke's final years, but also on the Astor family name. When Tony passed away in 2014, his death was seen by many as a sad culmination of a life consumed by bitterness and self-interest. His legacy became a cautionary tale of how unchecked resentment can lead to ruin, leaving a stain that even time struggles to erase. Brooke's story is a poignant mix of triumph and tragedy. On one hand, she achieved incredible milestones that made her one of New York's most celebrated figures. Her charitable work left an indelible mark on cultural institutions, libraries, and the arts, ensuring her name would be remembered for generations. Her contributions to the Vincent Astor Foundation and her tireless support for causes that enrich the public good cemented her reputation as the ultimate benefactor of New York society. On the other hand, her later years were marred by betrayal, leaving many of her admirers heartbroken. To see someone of her stature who had given so much to others fall victim to manipulation and neglect was a painful reality that resonated with the public. The media followed every twist and turn of her legal battle against Tony, sparking national conversations about elder abuse and the importance of safeguarding the elderly. In the wake of her passing, tributes poured in from friends, admirers, and institutions that had benefited from her generosity. Social media buzzed with messages celebrating her life and mourning her tragic ending. Fans of her philanthropic work shared stories of how her contributions had improved their lives, from access to libraries to scholarships that changed futures. Meanwhile, the press delved deeply into the darker side of her story, with headlines like "The Fall of an Icon" and "The Betrayal of Brooke Astor" dominating tabloids. Documentaries and exposés about the Astor family's fall from grace captured public interest, framing Brooke's life as both a cautionary tale and an enduring legacy of resilience. Brooke Astor's life was a mosaic of beauty, privilege, and profound sorrow. She left an indelible mark on the world of philanthropy, yet her personal story serves as a sobering reminder of the fragility of human relationships and the weight of betrayal. Despite her trials, Brooke's legacy endures, not just as a socialite, but as a symbol of strength amidst tragedy. If you found her story as compelling as we did, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more deep dives into the fascinating lives of high society's most unforgettable figures. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.